Welcome to Cartoon Investigation, where we dive deep into the lore, mysteries, and hidden stories behind our favorite animated series. Today, we unravel one of the most tragic and complex villains in animation history, the Ice King from Adventure Time. Beneath his eccentric, often comedic exterior lies a tale of sorrow, loss, and the relentless pull of madness. This is a story of a man who was once noble, a scientist full of dreams, who fell victim to an artifact beyond his control. Prepare for a journey filled with action, heartbreak, and the dark truth behind one of the Land of Uwu's most enigmatic figures. Chapter 1. The Man, Before the Madness. Before he was the Ice King, he was Simon Petrikov, a name nearly forgotten in the echoes of time. Simon was an antiquarian, a historian with a love for the ancient and the unknown. He spent his days studying relics, unlocking the past's secrets, never knowing that one discovery would shatter his world forever. His love, Betty, was his guiding light, the one who kept him tethered to reality. Together they delved into lost knowledge, fascinated by the potential of the artifacts they uncovered. It was during one such expedition that Simon stumbled upon a peculiar, gleaming crown adorned with intricate etchings that seemed to whisper to him. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. At first, it was an object of curiosity, an oddity to be examined, but the more Simon studied it, the more it beckoned him. A single moment of weakness, placing the crown upon his head, sealed his fate. A rush of unimaginable power surged through him, and a voice, ancient and commanding, began to speak in his mind. It called him Ice King, as though his destiny had been decided long before he ever touched the artifact. Betty watched in horror as Simon's demeanor changed. His once gentle blue eyes took on a crazed gleam, and his words became erratic, laced with forgotten languages. Desperate to free him, she searched for a way to break the crown's hold, but the power was relentless. In a moment of lucidity, Simon realized he was losing himself. With trembling hands, he pushed Betty away, using the last of his will to protect her before he vanished into madness. Chapter 2. The Rise of the Ice King. The world burned, and Simon was no longer Simon. The Mushroom War, a catastrophic event that reshaped civilization, left ruins in its wake. Among the chaos, a lone, disoriented figure wandered the frozen wastelands, muttering forgotten names and laughing at ghosts. The crown had taken its toll. It had rewritten Simon's identity, replacing memories of love with a desperate loneliness. He was Ice King now, an unstable sorcerer who craved companionship but had lost the ability to truly connect. The people of the New World feared him. His wild rants and unpredictable magic made him an outcast, a monster in their eyes. The Land of Uwu had risen from the ashes of the Old World, and with it, new champions emerged. Heroes like Billy, and later Finn the Human, sought to bring justice to the land. An Ice King, in his misguided attempts at finding a princess to love, often found himself at odds with them. He would kidnap princesses, not out of malice, but out of a desperate need for companionship. Yet, every battle, every failed attempt at connection, only deepened his sorrow. As he built his ice fortress and solidified his reputation as a bizarre villain, he became more detached from reality. The crown's whispers never ceased, urging him to embrace his role fully. But deep inside, fragments of Simon still remained, buried beneath layers of frost and delusion. And then there was Marceline. Chapter 3. The Forgotten Bond. Marceline the Vampire Queen had lived for centuries, but she had not forgotten the man who once protected her. Before he was Ice King, before the madness fully consumed him, Simon had been her guardian in the ruins of the post-war world. He had sung to her, comforted her, shielded her from the horrors that lurked in the dark, but time is cruel. The more the crown took hold, the more Simon faded. The songs turned to incoherent ramblings. The gentle touch became distant. One day, Marceline realized the man who had been like a father to her was gone, leaving only the Ice King in his place. Their paths would cross again, but to Marceline, it was like looking into the eyes of a ghost. She tried to remind him, to bring back even a fragment of the man he once was, but the crown's grip was too strong. Ice King barely recognized her, treating her as just another stranger in his isolated world. Yet, deep within, echoes of Simon still stirred. There were moments, fleeting and rare, where the fog lifted, and he felt something familiar. He could never place it, never grasp it for long, but it was there, haunting him like a half-remembered dream. Marceline, in her sorrow, never stopped trying. Through music, through painful conversations, through desperate attempts to break the curse, she remained a tether to his lost humanity. And though Simon's mind was fragmented beyond repair, something in his heart still remembered her. Chapter 4. The Battle for Sanity. Throughout Adventure Time, the Ice King found himself in countless battles, against Finn and Jake, against other wizards, against creatures of the night. But his greatest battle was always against himself. There were times when he nearly reclaimed his past, when Betty, now lost across time and space, found ways to reach him, when glimpses of Simon flickered through the madness, when the truth clawed its way to the surface, only to be buried again beneath the crown's relentless influence. In one of the most harrowing confrontations, Betty sacrificed herself to try and break the crown's curse, merging with the deity known as Golb in a final, desperate act of love. For a moment, the chains of the Ice King shattered. Simon was free, but at what cost? The world had moved on without him. The man who had once been lost had returned, but everything he had known was gone. Ice King was no more, and in his place stood Simon Petrikov, a man out of time, a man with nothing left. Chapter 5. The Legacy of the Ice King. Despite his madness, despite his misdeeds, the Ice King was never truly evil. He was a man who had been twisted by forces beyond his control, a tragic figure who sought love and friendship, but was doomed to loneliness. His story serves as a testament to the power of memory, love, and the tragic consequences of power untamed. As Simon embarks on a new path in Fiona and Cake, his story continues, but the shadow of the Ice King will always linger, a reminder of the man he was, the sacrifices made, and the unbreakable bonds that transcended even the deepest madness. His presence left a mark on everyone he encountered, Finn, Jake, Marceline, and even the princesses he relentlessly pursued. All of them carried a piece of his legacy. He was a villain, a fool, a lost soul, and, in the end, a tragic hero. Chapter 6. Conclusion. The Ice King's final song. The Ice King's journey is one of sorrow and redemption, of forgotten love and unfulfilled dreams. But even in madness, he was never alone. The echoes of Simon's past, the bonds he unknowingly forged, and the love that persisted despite everything, these are his true legacy. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the lore of Adventure Time. If you enjoyed this investigation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more animated mysteries from Cartoon Investigation.